Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Steven. This is my 2003 Mustang Cobra Terminator. I'm on Chris's channel. He wanted me to give a long-term review of it, so I'm here to do that. I'll give recommendations on what to do to the car when you get it, or if you're looking to purchase one in 2025, if it's worth it personally for you. And I'll give you some insight on owning the car for 4 years and how it's treated me. So, with that being said, I think we should get started. I'll get started with some technical specs of the car. So to do that, I'll open up the hood. The part that everyone wants to see. The part that everyone buys this car for. So this is a 4.6 liter supercharged 32 valve V8. Internally stock from Ford, it comes with all forged internals, manly rods. Mine is a little bit modified though, I will say that. It's a little bit different than Ford's stock configuration. It has an Eaton M112 supercharger. From the factory, they're rated at 390 horsepower. What a lot of people realize is when they bought these cars brand new in 03 and started dyno tuning them, the wheel horsepower numbers were more closer to 390 than advertised. They were making about 370, 380 to the wheel. So Ford actually underrated these cars. So to the crank, they were making around 430, 440 horsepower. And they were beating like everything out there at the time. Even the stock level Corvettes, base level Corvettes, they weren't beating the Z06, but the base level Corvettes they were pulling on. So, and this car has a reputation because of those forged internals. They love to make power. People swap the superchargers for a Whipple 2.9, a Kenny Bell, Big Kenny Bell, or now VMP is also another option. And they don't do much work to the internals of the engine. They just put a new supercharger on it and some of the supporting mods on the outside of the engine. And these cars will make 600-700 wheel horsepower easy. That's why these cars are so desirable, and they haven't really lost their value too much. Each car has a builder plate right here, which I really like. I think that's a nice touch. And it has a Tremec T56 6-speed transmission. That's another plus about this car. It's a really strong and stout transmission. The transmission itself, it's a bit notchy, I will say, but it's definitely worth it to have that transmission if it's as strong as it is. It can hold a lot of power. All right, so what made me want to buy this car? Before I had this car, I actually had a 2002 Mustang GT. That was my second car I've ever owned, and I loved that car, but the Cobra was always that next step higher. I would always see videos of them online. There's a famous video on YouTube. It's called Snake Bite. It's actually filmed right near the shop I used for this car, Mustang Magic. And it's just the Cobra with a Kenny Bell, big screaming blower, screaming through the industrial streets. And it just captivated a lot of people. A lot of people know that video. It has millions of views. I think it's over 10 million views on YouTube by now. And it's not even the original upload. That was a re-upload. Also, I've seen people like that dude in blue reviewed a black Terminator Cobra, and that video has millions of views. So when I saw those, I was always like, man, I want a Cobra. Fast forward, I think I had the GT for, I want to say 4 years, 3 or 4 years. Fortunately, I don't have it anymore. I actually had both the GT and the Cobra at the same time at one point. Fortunately, the GT had an engine issue, which it would have cost too much money for what the car was worth. So I ended up selling it off for parts. But I ended up buying this, and I'm overall very happy with the purchase. That's what made me want the car. So I've had it, as I said, I've had it for about 4 years. I'll go into now on how the car has treated me for those 4 years. And if you're watching this video, I'm sure maybe some of you are on the fence of buying this car. It's in 2025. So I'll be talking about 2025 and future ownership, the value of the car, things like that. So if you're interested in buying this car in 2025, I could give you some insight on, for the past 4 years, how the ownership experience for me has been on this car, and how it's treated me. So as I said, I bought this car in June of 2021. Overall, the ownership experience has been pretty decent. That year, the year I bought it, there was kind of a major problem though with the car. When we were doing an oil change, we found some metal shavings in the oil pan, unfortunately. So had to get the engine taken apart to figure out what the problem was. Lo and behold, it ended up being a thrust bearing that went bad. So it wasn't a catastrophic issue, but the engine had to come apart to find out what the problem was. I looked up. That ended up being a pretty rare occurrence with these cars. So if you purchase one, I don't think you'll have a problem with that. Even the shop said, like, yeah, you just got really, that I got really unlucky. That was the major thing. But I also used that opportunity to get some new connecting rods for the car, brand new. So like, the engine is built. It's a built engine. It's awaiting a Whipple supercharger. Every time I say I'm going to get a Whipple supercharger, some other more important expenses come up. So I plan to get it. It's on the line. It's on the back burner for now, though. But all right. So continuing on with this. Other than that, there's been some little things that went wrong here and there with the car. I had to get a new IAC valve, idle air control valve. This is more specifically for a convertible car, but there's in the convertibles, there's 2 quarter windows that get rolled up here. It's not just one big window. This quarter window on this side actually fell off the track and went clunk right down in the car when I rolled it down one day. So had to take the interior apart to get to it. But that's, you know, unfortunately that's the price you pay for getting a 22-year-old car. I'd replaced the fuel pumps on it, but that was my doing. I didn't need to. I wanted to get upgraded fuel pumps. As I said, I'm currently, it's in the middle of a build for the supercharger. And other than that, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean, as I said, a couple switches here and there that I needed to replace. The fog lights. The fog lights were a bit problematic, so I got new housings for them. As I said, that's unfortunately that just comes with the territory of it being a 22-year-old car. In terms of transmission, nothing has went wrong with the transmission at all. It's sturdy transmission, Tremec T56.
You had mentioned doing a supercharger build, so right. I wanted to ask you, what do you think about the stock power levels, or you know I mean, this was kind of before the time of bolt-ons, right? Smaller pulley and stuff. Would you consider that as bolt-on and tune?
I would, yeah.
You also have a built engine too, along with the bolt-ons.
Correct.
With cams, right?
I have a Crowler stage 2 cams.
I forget, did we go into like full engine specs?
Not quite yet. I mean, in the beginning a little bit, but I just talked more about the stock car compared to, I didn't really talk about mine.
So I know you're at 500 wheel.
505 to the wheel, yep.
How do you think that power is on this chassis, and what do you think the end goal is?
The end goal, as I said, I want to get a Whipple 2.9, and then I'm pretty much going to stop there. The shop that I get this car tuned at, he says, once I get, and he's been tuning these Terminator Cobras for, God, like 20, 30 years. He says, with my build, I can expect like high 6, low 700s to the wheel, and that's where I'm going to cut it. I don't feel like I need anything more than that, to be honest with you. Right now, the chassis handles the power pretty well. There is an issue with the IRS when you get to the higher horsepower numbers, like upper 500, 600, when you're shifting gears. Get some IRS hop on the rear. I haven't had that problem yet, but that is a known issue. So that's something I'll have to look into when I get to those higher horsepower numbers. But that's the end goal. Right now, it has this old the stock's Eaton M112 supercharger on it. It's not ported or anything. It's just as is. But as you were saying before, with people would buy these cars in 03, smaller pulley, and do basic bolt-ons, headers, exhaust, that type of stuff, and they would get to like 430, 440 wheel without spending too much money. And back then, you know, parts were significantly less than they are nowadays. That's why these cars were loved. People just bought them and spent minimal money, and they were making 500 horsepower to the crank, which in 03 was a crazy amount of power. Well, I can't think of besides like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. Some Lamborghinis or Ferraris weren't even making that power back then. So, speaking of E85, if you're looking to buy one of these cars to push it into like the 800-900, potentially even 1,000 wheel horsepower range, which has been done on the stock block, believe it or not, because thanks to its all forged internals from the factory, you're gonna have to do E85. I plan to keep it on pump gas 93. So high 6s, low 7s is pretty much where it'll stay. That's pretty much the max this block can do on regular 93. Once you get up to E85, that's when you really get into the high horsepower numbers. I'll talk about the wheels and tires I have on this car right now. So the wheels, they're actually the 03 original style Cobra wheels. From the factory, they would come in like a polished aluminum. They weren't black gloss. This is a aftermarket wheel from LMR. But the center caps are original center caps, which I bought them not knowing that actually, but when I put them on, people are like, you know how rare those things are? I was like, no, I didn't. I got lucky when I found them. When I bought this car, it definitely needed new tires though. I bought this car, and it was making about 480 to the wheel, and it had 275s on it. These are 315s. These are Toyo R888Rs. They're excellent tires. They hold my current power level down really well. But when I bought the car, they were 275 all season, so it would break loose the top of third. So those tires needed to go. So if you're interested in buying one of these cars and you're making about that horsepower, you're going to need better tires than 275s. 275s, even for a regular car, is a pretty wide tire. For this car, you at least want 295 semi-slick to hold your power down. That's what I recommend, obviously. And these tires, Toyo R888s, they have been excellent. They hold the power down very well. Can do a mash the throttle in first and second gear to hold it. First, if I'm more towards the middle end where the torque is at its peak, it will break loose for a little bit, but second gear it holds it down, no problem. I will say the car is a little bit lower. It's lower compared to the stock factory ride height. So if I do go over a decent sized bump, there will be a little bit of rubbing, but it's kind of rare. Though I just love how the 315s look on these cars. It makes the rear end of this car look so aggressive. It really wakes this car up. So the exhaust is a Bassani catback exhaust, BBK long tube headers. It sounds very nice. It's loud, but it's not ear-piercing loud like a Borla Attack would be. The Borla Attacks sound excellent in terms of their actual sound, but I think they're just way too loud. This is probably at the border of that, I'd say. Any louder would be a little bit too much for my personal opinion, but I think it sounds excellent. And you can still hear the car from a long ways away. So I like how this exhaust is. Bassani really makes a nice exhaust. If you buy one of these cars, you're not buying it for the interior. Let's be honest with each other here. The interior itself, people have had significant problems of panels just falling off, literally falling off. I haven't had any of these problems, but there are rattles. Like, for example, it's like plastic, right? It's plastic everywhere. Really, the only difference between this interior and a V6 Mustang of the same year is your seats and gauges. That's about it. It's the exact same interior as all SN95 Mustangs back when the SM95 was first introduced in the seats, though, I will say, are a pretty strong point for this car. The driver's seat has bolster support, adjustable lumbars, everything's electronic activated. It's actually a pretty comfortable seat, I'm not going to lie. And the passenger seat is your more standard mechanical controls, but the seats for this car, I will say, it's part of the interior that is a strong point, but there is a few parts of that's the interior that's strong. This is not stock. This is aftermarket. Wanted a Bluetooth head unit on there. The stock radio is from 03. It doesn't have Bluetooth. I don't even think it had an aux, honestly. These gauges are Aeroforce Interceptor gauges. I really love them. These are obviously this isn't stock, but they're fully digital. They can display. Oh man, like 50. You have a choice of 56 or 60 different options. You have cylinder head temperature. I have mine set up with air fuel ratio, boost, and battery, and I want to say coolant as well. As I said, yeah, I will say with this interior, it's very awkward if you have a cup here and your shift knob, because if you have to kind of like do one of these to shift if you have a cup right here. This is a problem with where the shift knob is actually located in the car. You have to put your seats up pretty far forward compared to other cars, because when you're putting the car in like 6th gear or something like that, or you want to put it in reverse, you're reaching all the way like this. If I have the seat, for example, if I have the seat further back, you know, like say like this, I really have to be reaching, and then you have to, in these cars, you'll often see a lot of people sit further forward than rest. Is that a big issue? No, but for some people that are taller, it might become a comfortability issue, so you got to keep that in mind. So the brakes on this car, they're the stock 03 Ford Special brakes here. You know, they're really, for 03 they were decent. Nowadays they're not. They're good for daily driving. They're, you know, they'll stop the car no problem daily driving. But if you're doing a hard pull and if you need to get it stopped quick, they're not sufficient. That's another thing that I have on the pipeline for this car is replacing the brakes, because if I'm going 600-700 wheel horsepower, I need to stop it. I'm not want to, you know, that's simply the fact of the matter. Yeah, so I'll talk about how the car's held up. I think overall, exterior-wise and interior-wise, it's held up pretty well. I've heard stories of people saying they've had problems with especially the interior. Mine has held up pretty well. There are some common things that I'll go through now with the exterior. For example, this LED strip, it's cracked. I need to replace that. That's a common thing with these cars. That is a very expensive LED strip on if you can find one. They're usually around $500 to $600. So that's why it's been on the back burner. Mine still lights up fine. It hasn't fallen off, so that's why it's like I keep pushing it off. There is also another thing with these cars. I don't know if you'll be able to see it in the sunlight here, but the paint does get stress cracks, stress marks right here. Mine is relatively under control compared to other people. Some people get stress cracks all over the trunk lid right here. So it's I'm happy, and the leather on the seat has held up pretty well too. That's another thing that people say is that the leather on the seats rip a lot. I haven't had that issue, luckily. It does show wear in the common spots, but leather seats after 22 years, they're going to show wear. There's nothing you can do about that. I drive this car, I try to drive it as much as possible in the summer. In the winter, I put it away. I don't even touch this thing in the winter. I start it up every once in a while, but this is a summer-only car for me. But as I said, I drive it when the weather's nice. I didn't buy this car to be a garage queen or something like that. I wanted to buy it and drive it. I have my fun in it. All right, so if you're in the market of buying one of these cars in 2025, I think you'll be very happy. I'm still very happy with mine, even though it had some of the problems in the past. Overall, am I glad that I bought it? Absolutely. It's a very fun car. It's an amazing cruiser. It gets a surprising amount of attention. I didn't expect how much attention that it gets. You know, obviously, it's not a Gallardo or something like that. But people who know what this car is, they always give me thumbs up, point me out. They ask me to do a poll nearby them. So it's awesome. But now I'll start going through some of the known issues with this car that I think that you should consider when you're buying one of these. First and foremost, fuel rail pressure sensors on these have a famous tendency of failing. People who own these cars usually buy a couple of these fuel rail pressure sensors and keep one in the glove box, because it's a very easy part to replace. It's really right there. It's connected by 2 bolts, and you just click on, click off, done. But they have a tendency to fail, and they fail a lot. Another thing with these cars, the stock alternator that Ford puts on these are horrible. They do not respond well to any sort of pulley changes. These cars have a famous tendency of just eating alternators. What I recommend is, if you buy one of these cars, put some extra money aside, get a upgraded alternator. Right now, the alternator I have in mind is a KMJ Titan alternator. It's rated at 250 amps, internally regulated. It's very good. The car has plenty of power. The reason why the alternator is a crucial issue with this, and what I recommend to be done right away after you get this car, is because if you're doing a long pull and that alternator goes bad, not enough power gets supplied to the fuel pumps, your mixture will run lean, and kaboom. That has happened. That's a lot of people have said that has happened due to the Ford alternator that has been put on this car from the factory. So if your car has the stock alternator on, get rid of it right away. Don't even run that risk. Just get rid of it. That's my #1 most recommended thing to do for new Cobra owners. Another thing, Chris, if you want to come over here, I don't know if you can see it too well. This tensioner right here, the past couple of years has had a tendency to fail. I've seen more and more people online saying that this tensioner has failed. Mine actually did, and luckily I was right down the road from my house. What happens is it's literally split in half. But I would say those tensioners are not too expensive. you could get them. They're pretty readily available. I'd say replace that right when you get to your Cobra if you get one. Let's see. Another thing you have to realize that, you know, this car is from 2003. Parts are getting more and more scarce. A lot of stuff from Ford are being obsoleted. They're getting harder to find. The supply's drying up. Especially the Cobra specific parts. A lot of the regular SN95 parts are still very readily available. You could just go to a junkyard, get a bunch of parts off a V6 Mustang SN95 and it'll fit right in this car. But a lot of the Cobra specific parts, like as I said, that fuel rail pressure sensor, those are getting pretty expensive. Those sensors are running about $200 right now just for the sensors. So that's a fact that unfortunately that's just how it is with these cars. The supply is dried up for these with parts like that. Yes, that's another thing. These cars do not like garbage parts. You'll cause more problems. Like when my fuel rail pressure sensor went, it actually happened to be in an AutoZone parking lot. So I went into AutoZone and got an AutoZone fuel rail pressure sensor. By the time it was home, I got it home, the check engine light was on again. It failed right away. Get OEM Ford parts if you can. The idler pulleys, same situation. The supply in that has dried up. I got the OEM idler pulleys, but they're getting more expensive when they come up. And the pulley bridge itself is another thing that is very rare with these cars that I've seen more and more people say that has failed on theirs. The actual pulley bridge itself, and that can be pretty expensive. As I said, that's all pretty Cobra specific parts, though. It's not really stuff that's shared on the whole SN95 platform altogether. Stuff like that you could get for a dime a dozen, like window switches. That's not a problem. That's all shared on the SN95. I will say, if you need it, for whatever reason, you need a new steering wheel, if you come over here, Chris, it's the exact same steering wheel as your V6 Mustang, but just because of the fact that it says,
airbag cover, right?
Just because it says Cobra, you're paying an extra $200 to $300 for a new steering wheel.
Just because of the airbag cover.
Yep. Cruise control on my cars worked fine. I had no problems with that. But yeah, overall, if you're looking into buying this car, would I recommend you buy this car? Absolutely. I love this thing, man. I'm so happy I have this, even though it's been, as I said, it's had its ups and downs over the years. Am I upset that I bought this car? No, not at all. Just take your time, take care of it. It'll treat you well. Very stout engine, very strong transmission, and you'll love it. It's still, to this day, an amazing car. So what type of people would want this car? I would say if you're looking for something, you want something with a good amount of power, you want something that's a little bit more on the rare side compared to like your standard run-of-the-mill Mustang GT, Camaro SS, or Challenger Charger RT. This is the car for you. They only made the Terminator specifically in 03-04. There was a 99 to 01 SN95 Cobra as well, and there was also the before the new Edge Cobras. But this is it's a much rarer compared to, as I said, your regular Camaro SSs or anything like that. Just a few of those specifics on this car. It's an 03 with the parchment top and parchment interior. They only made 130 of these with this Oxford white exterior color. This is a pro and con of this car if you're buying one today. Unfortunately, they're expensive. They are expensive cars. Now the average prices of these have gone above $30,000 for an 03, 04 Cobra. I bought mine 4 years ago. I bought mine for $21,000, so I got it for almost $10,000 less than the average price of them now. The car, the past 2 years has a big spike in its price. Its average price went up like $5 or $6 grand, and it's steadily going up since then. See, that's a con, but it's also a pro, because if you buy one of these cars, it's a pretty sound investment. You could safely rest assured you won't really lose a ton of money if you buy this car. It'll hold its value pretty well. Even if you I've seen some high mile examples on these, like 120, 130,000 mile examples sell for the mid-20s, which is pretty impressive. Unfortunately, the days of getting a 03, 04 Cobra 10 to 15 years ago for like the high teens, that's just not happening anymore. I'm sorry, that's just the situation of the market today. Unless you get one that has a problem with it, you're just not getting one for like the for the $15,000, $16,000, $17,000 price range anymore. It's just not happening. So it's pretty cold. This is why I have a jacket on now. It's about 40 degrees where we are. I had enough of the t-shirt. But so I'll talk about my car, its color combination. You know, people always ask me, why did I go with like a tan top opposed to like a black top or something like that? I just like the, it seems pretty unique. Ford didn't make a lot of these in this color combination. I looked up the production numbers. They made 130 of them with the parchment interior and the parchment tan top in an Oxford white car. As I said, some of my friends, they either love the color combination or hate it. I really like it. It's unique. My opinion is it's I happen to really like the color combination. As I said, it caught my eye when I was looking to buy one of these cars because it was of its uniqueness. And it being one of 130 is a pretty cool thing to me. The last thing I would like to talk about today is it a daily drivable car? Now, when I say this, I'm assuming the stock configuration, because the way I have it set up now with the semi-slicks and everything like that, not a daily drivable car. The Crowler Stage 3 cams really, if you get slow in a parking lot, it really bucks on you. That's just the problem of having those massive cams. But in the stock configuration, it can be done. Fuel efficiency on this car for what you have is actually pretty decent. You would think a supercharged V8 car would just guzzle gas. This really doesn't. You can get a decent range out of it. Granted, if you know, it's nowhere near as fuel efficient as like a regular daily driver. But I'm just saying, in consideration for what you have here, like in the stock configuration, a near 400 horsepower car, 400 above crank horsepower in the stock configuration. Its fuel efficiency's pretty decent. And then I could say, you can daily drive it. Would I recommend it ever driving it in the winter? No. But in a pinch, in the stock configuration, probably get away with it. But these cars, I don't think I wouldn't recommend doing that in the first place, though. This is definitely a car you want to put away in the winter, and because the car, at the end of the day, if you get a lot of rust underneath the car from the snow salt, it'll lose its value. All right, well, I hope I was informative. If you're looking to buy one of these cars in 2025, would I recommend buying one of these cars? Yeah, I would. It's still a fun car. You just got to know some of the things you're getting into, like as I said before, with the alternator, the fuel rail pressure sensors, some of the legacy issues with these cars. That's just something you want to get taken care of right away. But overall, if you're looking to buy one of these cars in 2025, I don't think you'll be disappointed. It's a very fun, unique. The sound of the car is unreal. Hearing that supercharger whine every time you get on the gas is just a surreal feeling, surreal sound. And even in stock configuration, the power still holds up pretty decent today, even with the high, with like horsepower inflation and everything. Other than that, that's about it. Thank you for watching the video, and thank you for Chris for having me on the channel. All right, I give the 03 Cobra 4.5 booms. Boom, 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 boom.